Cervical cancer is not an easy cancer. No cancer is easy. It's very frustrating when people say that, get cervical cancer is an easy cancer. It's not. You spend tens of thousands of dollars to have someone else have your baby for you, and that doesn't even cover the mental, the emotional toll it takes. I would gladly pay money to have my emotional pain taken away. I was 12 weeks pregnant when I was diagnosed with cervical cancer. I had had some abnormal discharge early in my pregnancy that my doctor tried to fix with antibiotics. It didn't really go away, but we decided to just wait it out because she didn't want me to go on too many antibiotics. But the night before my 12-week appointment, I had some light spotting, and I was really scared about having a miscarriage, so she went ahead and did an exam, and she found a bump on my cervix that wasn't there a month ago and a month before, and she took a biopsy, and then that is when my journey into cervical cancer began. After my diagnosis, we lived in rural Montana at the time, and we were trying to figure out our best care. We traveled to University of Washington and MD Anderson to find out our best care. Of course, it was tricky because I was pregnant and I was adamant about keeping the baby. And everything I did, I wanted to make sure that our baby was okay. After we had gotten back from those trips, I came down with a fever, and I was admitted to the hospital with 103-degree fever, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, where my infection was coming from. At this point, I was starting to pass large blood clots, and I asked my doctor if I was miscarrying because, again, that's the only thing I cared about. The cancer came second, and my doctor didn't know. So I was life-flighted to Seattle in septic shock. I ended up in the ICU. While they were there, I was greeted by a team of doctors. And while they were there, my gyne oncologist that I had decided to go with at University of Washington told me that the cancer was bigger than she had seen on the CT, and our plan of doing a LEEP procedure and closing my cervix was no longer on the books, that I would need to do chemo while pregnant. I was terrified, and then while I was still in the hospital at just short of 17 weeks, the OB had come in and was prepping my husband for having an early birth. I think they were going to wait till 28 weeks. And then she went to do a heart rate check because they had been monitoring the baby's heart rate the entire time. And the heartbeat was no longer there. We went down to her office and did an ultrasound, and she couldn't find it, and the baby wasn't moving. And then she took me into the big machine, which is where they do the anatomy scan. And I just remember a resident looking at me and saying, "I'm so sorry." And that's when my world came crashing down. The emotional toll cancer took on me was just surviving, trying to find my best options of healthcare, trying to figure out where do we go, what do we do, living in rural Montana. Healthcare, the nearest gyne oncologist was 6 hours away. He came to Missoula once every 3 weeks, and that wasn't going to work for us. What if we had an emergency? So I think living in rural Montana was really scary, thinking about how are we going to take care of this. So after I had my tumor removal, my gyne-onc told me that the cancer had spread and I needed to have a hysterectomy. But she said she had made an appointment for reproductive endocrinologist for me that afternoon. So I got in and I started IVF that Monday. So I was told on Good Friday that I needed to have a hysterectomy. Did Easter weekend. On Monday morning, said a real strong prayer in Hail Mary and posted on Facebook to see if anyone would be interested in being a gestational carrier. And within an hour, I had a friend who I hadn't talked to since our wedding, but serendipitously, it was her birthday party that my husband and I first started talking. She said she would carry for him. And that summer, I did chemo radiation. My friend got prepped to carry our child, and in December we transferred one of our embryos, and 8 months later our son arrived. He was eager to see us and came early at 2 a.m. The cancer recurrence and the radiation side effects has diminished my quality of life. I've lost pretty much all my muscle on the right side of my leg down. I can't move my foot. I have drop foot. I'm spending lots of money to install a left-footed pedal into my car. Insurance doesn't cover that. I had to take lessons to learn how to drive with my left foot. The life I thought I was going to have, it's not there anymore. Everyone says, you're so brave. You're so inspiring. I don't know how you do it. I could never do it. And I feel like that's not true. When you are going through this, when you are in the thick of it, it's surviving. It's day to day. So just have compassion for those who you know. And just tell them, I love you and I'm there for you.